Hey everybody, looks like we got to get on the bus and go back to New York and check out these squirrels. So, we were in New York looking at this dog attack just a little while ago. I was over there showing you guys some stuff, talking a little bit about politics, talking about the packs of dogs running loose in the street that are allowed to kill people. I was talking to everybody about this whole thing in New York where this man was killed by a pack of dogs. Um, Also in New York, any sucker, any fool can go adopt a bunch of these dogs. They have a bunch of these tax shelter, taxpayer funded pit bull rescue places over there in Albany, New York. Another thing I was sharing with everybody in my video is New York has some allegedly a bunch of sex trafficking going on with their citizens, and some of this is happening with elected officials. Elected officials are wrapped up in this sex trafficking. The link is here. I'll find some other links to give you guys. And also, I was showing everybody how a lot of these cities that are Democrat run cities, they're full of sex trafficking, they're full of dog worship, they're full of people being killed by dogs. And that's why we got to talk about politics too. So let me remind everybody politics is not some crazy ghost specter that you cannot understand. This is just policy. It's the complex relations of people living in society. It's about policy. It's the policy. Like how do we respond to certain situations in our society? What policies do we put in place? That's what politics are all about. And so, what kind of policies are the elected officials in New York putting in place? What kind of policies are they enforcing? So while New York officials sit on their asses, stuff their thumbs up their butthole, and stuff their other thumb in their mouth, and look the other way when dogs kill people, dogs that they bring into their state, dogs that they bring into their state and allow their citizens to pay for, they're going to put all this effort into seizing a freaking squirrel. Check this out.
It's funding from social media that requires Peanut to get that funding.
Mark Longo says officers raided his home, taking his pet squirrel, Peanut, and his raccoon, Fred. Longo runs a sanctuary, housing horses, goats, and alpacas, and says he relies on these social media videos to raise money, but it's against New York law to own a wild animal without a license.
Yet the house where hold on a sec. Yet the house where all of these dogs were hoarded or housed or collected, these nasty dogs, it's so nasty they had to buzz it out. Over there in New York, you can have a house full of pit bulls, piss and shit and disease and parasites and dead humans in your yard, and well, then they'll go ahead and do something about it. But where are all these dogs coming from? They're coming from all of these partially taxpayer funded, state supported pit bull rescues and fosters, where these people get houses and houses full of dogs. They get some of their expenses covered for by these 501c3 places. And then somebody dies because of it. Yet they're going to go after that squirrel.
The Department of Environmental Conservation says it received multiple reports about the potentially unsafe housing of wildlife that could carry rabies.
My next step is to be contacted. DEC, the state, nobody has reached out to me to say anything. I don't know if Peanut is alive or they euthanized him.
Longo says he rescued Peanut 7 years ago after its mother got hit by a car, and says Peanut came back after being released.
Can you imagine if that was a rescue pit bull or a foster pit bull? That pit bull could go and maul somebody, possibly kill somebody, kill a neighbor's cat, kill a neighbor's dog, chew the fender off of somebody's Tesla, and they would give that dog right back to him after a 10-day quarantine. But a squirrel? No, they're going to go to his house like some kind of SWAT team and seize the squirrel from him.
The DEC made headlines in a similar case this year when it seized this alligator from a home in western New York. It had lived there for 34 years.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. Alligator, alligator. they're trying to compare the alligator to the squirrel. And even if they are, so many homes are filled with killer pit bulls over there in New York and not far from there, Washington D.C. So isn't this crazy that all of the lawmakers in that city, they will allow dogs to kill their fellow humans, but they will put the full force of the government into taking a squirrel away from somebody? Pretty crazy. I'll put some more links in the description if you want to get some better perspective on the story. But this to me just illustrates something I've talked about the politics and rule makers that exist within a city. They will take the easy route and go after somebody for a squirrel, but meanwhile, stray packs of dogs running around in the neighborhood, no problem. And what would have happened if one of those dogs hurt somebody and a father or a mother used a firearm to defend themselves? That father or mother would probably be in jail, and all of the community would probably be crying and moaning about some poor pit bull that attacked somebody and got shot. Yet, if it's a squirrel, wow, they'll totally seize that thing and euthanize it or quarantine it or whatever. See you guys later.